There are some sounds you can never forget, and for a young musician, a haunting midnight melody became an obsession. This isn't just a story about music, it's about a relentless pursuit of truth, a chilling discovery that ties a ghostly tune to the tragic echoes of an old train whistle. Prepare to be moved, and perhaps a little terrified. Every town has its ghost story, but ours was a lullaby. The old Union Peak Railroad had been abandoned for 50 years, its tracks reclaimed by rust and ivy. Yet, every night, precisely at midnight, the air would split with the forlorn cry of a train whistle. It wasn't a harsh, industrial blast, but a melancholy melody, a specific sequence of notes that sounded like a sad, forgotten song. The old-timers in the diner would say it was just the wind whistling through the rotten trestle bridge. But I knew better. My grandfather, the last station master, had warned me on his deathbed. "It's not a train, Eli," he'd whispered, his hand clutching mine with a feverish strength. "It's a collector, and its whistle is a calling. Never answer it." I was 17, and I thought it was the rambling of a sick old man. But then, my best friend, Leo, dared me. We stood at the edge of the old tracks at 11:58 p.m., the full moon bleaching the world of color. The cold was unnatural, seeping through my jacket. As the final seconds ticked away, Leo grinned, a nervous flicker in his eyes. "Ready to meet the ghost train, Eli?" The first, long note of the whistle cut through the silence, and the ground beneath our feet began to hum. The sound was a physical force, vibrating in our bones. The melody was unmistakably clear now, a haunting, slow tune that spoke of immense loneliness. A light appeared in the distance, not the bright beam of a headlamp, but a pale, shimmering glow that seemed to absorb the moonlight rather than emit its own. The tracks began to sing, a high-pitched metallic ring, as something materialized from the darkness. It was a steam locomotive, but it was wrong. It was translucent, like smoke given form, and it moved in complete, unnerving silence, the wailing whistle its only sound. It glided past us, and we saw the cars, not passenger cars, but old, rusted freight cars with their doors slightly ajar. Through the slits, I saw shifting shadows, and I heard the faint, collective sound of weeping. That's when I saw him. In the lead locomotive, a figure stood at the controls. He wore a conductor's uniform, but where his face should have been, there was only a smooth, pale expanse of skin, featureless save for the dark hollow of a mouth, from which the phantom whistle seemed to emanate. His head turned, slowly, deliberately, towards us. Leo's bravado shattered. He let out a choked gasp and stumbled backward, tripping over a railroad tie. The faceless conductor's attention was now fixed solely on him. The train began to slow, its silent, impossible motion grinding to a halt. The weeping from the freight cars grew louder, more desperate. A cold unlike any I have ever felt washed over me, a deep, soul-chilling cold that promised finality. The conductor raised a gloved hand and pointed a single, bony finger directly at Leo, who was frozen in terror, unable to look away. The train whistle changed. The sad melody twisted into a single, piercing, commanding note that felt like a hook sinking into my very being. I wanted to run, but my feet were leaden. Leo, however, began to move, not of his own volition. His body stiffened, and he took a jerky, puppet-like step forward, then another, drawn towards an open freight car door. His eyes were wide with a terror I cannot describe, screaming silently for help. I finally found my voice. "Leo!" I screamed. At the sound of my voice, the conductor's head snapped toward me. In that faceless gaze, I felt a universe of emptiness. The spell was broken for me, but not for Leo. He took one final, shuddering step, and was swallowed by the darkness inside the freight car. The door slid shut with a deafening, final clang that echoed in the real world. Instantly, the train whistle resumed its original, mournful melody. The phantom locomotive began to move, picking up speed, its form becoming more and more translucent until it simply faded away, taking the unnatural cold and the sound of weeping with it. I was left alone on the tracks, the silence now more terrifying than the noise had been. The only proof that any of it had happened was Leo's absence. I ran all the way back to town, bursting into the sheriff's office, babbling about the train and Leo. They found no signs of a struggle, no evidence of a train. They called it a runaway, a tragic accident. But I knew the truth. I started digging, and in the town archives, I found a faded newspaper clipping from 1923. Local boy vanishes on anniversary of Union Peak tragedy. The article described a train that had derailed on the trestle bridge, killing everyone aboard. The conductor's body was never identified because his face was obliterated in the crash, and he was known for always whistling a specific, cheerful tune. The town thinks Leo's gone, but I hear him every night. When the midnight whistle blows its lonely melody, I listen more closely than anyone. And now, woven into that ancient, sad tune, I can hear a new sound. It's faint, but it's there, a single, terrified voice, screaming in perpetual harmony with the others. The conductor isn't just replaying his death. He's building a choir, collecting souls to fill the silence of his eternity. He carries the lonely, the forgotten, and the ones foolish enough to answer his call. Last night, as the whistle faded, I heard something else. My name, whispered on the wind, in Leo's voice. It's a warning and a plea. The train is never full. The conductor is always listening, and his melody is looking for its next new voice. So, if you ever find yourself near old tracks on a cold, still night, and you hear a distant, lonely whistle, don't just ignore it. Run, because it's not a ghost story. It's a collection agency, and your name might already be on its list.